Welcome to the Breakdown. Today's edition, daunting breakdowns. Movies involving fun or less than extreme topics. So feel free to join me on something that changes things up a little. Graduation Day, directed by Herb Fried, a horror movie that makes pieces look like Halloween 1978. It's just a little fun movie you can catch on even YouTube if you search for it. I actually meant to upload this on the day I graduated college, but this education establishment in the movie is a high school. There's a killer deciding to off the athletes. They need to be punished. You know a movie that is just like this? Death Bell 2, the Korean horror movie. So please welcome a new style of breakdown. If you want to have fun and see some crazy horror, then stay tuned for the breakdown. And you can eat while watching. Cue the Gohan. See, my high school could have all this flashy track meet / gymnastics, and I still wouldn't be watching it, but at least Midvale High is showing out, stacking their award cases again, making out with a side of groping in front of all those impressionable children. It's time for the ladies' track competition. See the judge right here? I've seen you before, Christopher Judge. I mean Christopher George. He's not my God of War, but he was the lead detective in the film Pieces. He's itching for Laura here to win this race, but Laura looks like she's about to fall out. Still, Laura manages to squeak out a win, pulling another win for Midvale High. But unfortunately, Laura collapses on the ground. The entire crowd looking in shock, they race towards her, and it seems Laura has passed away. Months have passed since her death. But why did she die, and who is this? Ron Jeremy seems to be giving a Navy officer a ride to Midvale High. Let me introduce you to Anne. She is the one who would execute Ted Bundy a few years later. Happy graduation day. I'm surprised they're making this big a deal about it. Anne gets out and stalks a student on the jog like she's Michael Myers stalking Laurie Strode. Someone is watching this student. And it's not Jason, it's not Michael. This killer is chasing her around with a stopwatch. He's testing her performance before ridding her of this mortal coil. He grabs her by the hair and kills her with the most boring stab of all time. But that is the start of the murder spree. Right on time for these clueless students to prepare for the next stage of their lives. Well, the student we just saw that got killed, her name was Paula. Looks like she's not gonna be in the yearbook pictures this year or any year. People don't like the coach. They blame him for pushing Laura too far 3 months ago. Not to mention, this movie is begging you to think he is the killer. Meanwhile, with Anne, she comes back home to talk to her grieving mother and her annoying as shit stepfather. I already hate him more than the killer. She stays in her sister's room, and Laura still has a presence. And his presence makes me want to vomit.
I see the Navy hasn't taught you any manners. You're still the same big mouth, self-centered you were the day you left here. I would have slapped some mind and then...
Very rarely do I advocate for the physical harm of geriatrics. Imagine living this long and still being this much of a little shit, a little child. Soon we see through the eyes of the killer. He's marked an X on Paula's face, meaning she is the latest track member killed. Whoever this killer is, he's targeting the track team. Isn't this reminding you of Death Bell 2? And this is Sally. She's next on the chopping block, but here comes Anne, who walks out of shrubbery to scare students. She changed her appearance so well I didn't even realize it was her. Oh, this is graduation practice. These seniors look like they skipped a couple of elementary school grades. Anne later goes to meet the boyfriend of her sister Laura. His name is Kevin, having pictures of Laura's death just sitting on the table along with a crazy mama. I feel like this could be its own horror movie. Kevin, you look like you're 35, 40 already. He loved Laura, and Anne gives him her graduation present for him to keep along with his memories. Meanwhile, Sally is being stalked. The lights cut out and the killer is close by. Now, I do want to say I loved how that jump scare was filmed, reminding me of a puppet combo game. So Sally is the gymnast and the coach is a dickhead, as usual, forcing her to do these routines when she's not up to it. He's acting like he taught her that shit. Weirdly, Sally is crossed off the picture even though she isn't dead yet, and don't expect any final destination here. Even I don't know what all those clips was. While she's shaving, the killer obtains a fencing sword and plucks Sally right in her throat directly through the entire cavity. 2 students down. Okay, Anne, I'm not gonna front. Your performance so far has been boring. You started out as a no shit taker, and now you're just a eccentric lady who walks through shrubbery and who possibly could be the killer. The next victim is a football player who's been stalked by the stealthiest killer ever. The killer plunges a spike inside a football and throws it right to the football player. That was lame. I could have did something better than that. Now this is the hypest graduation I've ever seen. I'm usually not a fan of high school oxygen, but this is cool. It would be cooler if Daniel LaRusso just popped up out of nowhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to roll bounce. This movie really loves the hype scenes with all the music and the dancing. Two students leave the dance about to do this one thing high school students aren't supposed to do in horror movies. I can't even hear what they're saying because the damn band is still playing for like 10 minutes. It didn't matter because the killer decapitates him live on Twitch. He pale as Kratos already? But honestly, the killer lost all scariness as soon as he came out looking like that. Good idea. Let's just stand still under a tree while being chased by a murderer. Hell, they run so long that it's daytime when she died. Okay, this is starting to feel like a school project. Let's hurry up and finish the deed. Okay, there's a lot of filler, even more so than Pieces, but Pieces was a bit more enjoyable with it. I just want to see the kills and find out who the killer is. Now this is Peter, and Peter is about to pole vault randomly. But guess what? He falls directly on spikes, and these kills kind of fucking suck. Now this is an investigator talking to the coach, and guess what? He's gotten fired. It's about damn time this coach gotten fired. This whole movie he's complaining about everybody blames him for the death of Laura, but he should have gotten fired a long ass time ago simply because he's a trash human being. Oh looky, a stopwatch. That's supposed to trick me into thinking he's the killer. Some students discover a bloody locker and it contains Sally's corpse. Number one suspect, the coach. Good work, coach. You're ruining investigation. All right, guys, graduation is canceled. People are finally starting to realize that people are dying. The coach and Kevin, Laura's old boyfriend, are in a fist fight where Kevin gets washed. But the coach is the dumbest fuck in history of the world and runs away from the crime scene after assaulting a student. Makes him look guilty as hell. Kevin was the final person who was supposed to die. Now coach is running away like a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just trying to avoid trouble literally only gets you into more trouble. It's one of my pet peeves. Now, before we get any further, let's figure out who the real killer is. Let's look back to the killer. He's been killing every single person in the track team. The reason? Payback for the natural death of Laura. Some payback, that is. We've got two obvious suspects, and the sister of Laura, and the coach, who feels sad that nobody likes him. Other than the fact that we know the killer is a man and can't be the killer because it would be impossible for her to place a body in the locker. She wouldn't know the combination of Sally's specific locker. So, Anne's out. The coach, he's back on the chopping block, but he can't be the killer either because he has no motive. Everybody already hates him. Everybody hates me because they think I killed the girl, so let's go kill the track team because of it. What? So, that leaves one last suspect. Someone who is really pissed that Laura is dead and is likely to blame everyone for pushing her too hard, making fun of her or whatever. The only member who wasn't killed. The killer is you, Kevin, boyfriend of Laura. Kevin's looking mighty weird and he admits to killing everybody. They all have to be punished for causing Laura's tragic natural death. And he's about to kill the last one. The coach fights off the killer, but the leading investigator thinks that the coach is the killer and shoots him to death without even asking him to put his hands up or put the knife down. You deserve to be fired. And finally realizes that something isn't right and tells the administrator here, we need to talk about Kevin. You get it? Okay, I don't know why we didn't think Kevin was the killer already with this house. I knew he had some Norman Bates vibes. Anne goes upstairs and discovers a corpse. It's Laura's corpse in her graduation uniform. He really is Norman Bates 2.0. I was just joking at first.
I'm glad you're the one that's here, Anne. I want you to be the first one to kiss the bride.
Bride?
Well, sure, we're gonna get married just after graduation, just like we planned. I thought you loved her. Well, what kind of a sister are you? She's your own flesh and blood.
Ah, you're nuts. I feel like Laura's brain decided to cut the plug compared to getting married to you somehow, and manages to push Laura's corpse into Kevin and out of his window. Hey, but it's cool, he's good, he's just chilling. She runs out of the house like she's high on something, eventually ending up on the field where, guess what, everything started. You let this sucker sneak up on you just like that? Good job dodging the blade, but now it's time for some of those US Navy ball moves. That's what I'm talking about. There goes the guy who fell on the spikes, and Anne pushes Kevin onto those very spikes, which ends up being too much for him to bear. And the killer, Kevin, is dead. That was awful. That night, she has a nightmare of Kevin coming back to kill her. But actually it was that dumb stepdad. You know what, Anne, it's time to get the fuck out of here. The movie ends with Anne getting right in a taxi and leaving this crazy place behind. And now, I'm wondering if the end justified the means. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and scrambled eggs, is graduation day. Let's talk about the most daunting moments in graduation day. Graduation day made me really appreciate pieces, but overall, I do like these not great horror movies. Kevin was the show stealer for me. I enjoyed seeing how crazy he got. The kills were not good, but hopefully it was fun to be in. Most daunting moment was Laura's corpse in Kevin's room. I think this entire segment was the best part of the movie. There is something special about seeing how nutty someone really is, and I know that room must stink. Though I'm sure the body would be broken down a little bit more. Overall, that's Graduation Day, a fun, daunting horror movie. You can catch this on Tubi and more. On screen, I got some cool recommendations for you. Assault, Jack the Ripper. We got a nutty Japanese movie about a couple of killers. And Death Bell 2, a South Korean movie about some high school kids being hunted down by a mastermind of death. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more messed up stuff. Thanks for watching. Spooky out.